Welcome into Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Today on the show, my one and only Falcons mock draft that I do. What's better than Rosario and Ozuna in left field? And too early to call Strider an ace? All of that next. It's Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked On Sports Atlanta.
This is Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Hittin Hard is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. We ask you to subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You can get the latest episodes of Hittin Hard as soon as they become available. And then give me a follow on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. The mock is here. The mock is here. The mock is here. So here's for our new listeners. I do a one-time-a-year mock draft for the Atlanta Falcons during the week of the draft. And the way that I do this is when I go through my mock and I pick every round, every pick that the Falcons have. Number one, I don't do any trades, okay? It's ridiculous to try to trade in mock drafts. There's no way to know teams' interests and different things like that. And again, when you're starting to go into mocks, the whole concept is ridiculous in itself. But anyway, trading within a mock draft is ridiculous, okay? You don't know what one team is thinking, let alone two or three teams, okay? But when I mock in a draft, I pick based upon what I would do in the draft, not what I think the Falcons are going to do, not what I think Terry Fontenot is going to do, not what I think any general manager is going to do in regards. I'm not trying to mimic the picks for the Atlanta Falcons. What I'm trying to do is look at my roster and build a roster from there. Now, look, I'm not going to say that in the fourth round of the draft, Jalen Carter is going to be available, right? So we do this within some parameters based upon players that I think are going to be relative to the place where the Falcons draft. Okay, you got that? So I'm not picking something crazy. These are guys who should be available. Look, it's not a perfect science. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit sooner, a little bit later. But again, these are guys that should be in the range that the Falcons draft, but it's based upon what I want. Okay? Ready? So here we go. Round number one, pick number 8. I take Myles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson. Look, this is a guy who can stop the run. He can get after the quarterback. He's got the size and physicality. Obviously, he's an Atlanta guy. I know we all want Georgia players, but you want a kid from Georgia as well? Look, I think Murphy might be the second best edge player in the draft next to Will Anderson. And that can be up for debate. I get all of that. But I want a guy who gets off the edge and goes after the quarterback. But he can also help against the run. He's very versatile. He can play in lots of schemes. He's a great athlete. There's nothing I don't like about Myles Murphy, okay? I think his production in college was really good. I'm all on board with Myles Murphy. When I look at the edge players, I love Will Anderson, but when I look at the Tyree Wilsons and the Lucas Van Ness's and different people like that, even Nolan Smith to a degree. And I would not be upset if they drafted any of those guys. I just want my edge player number 1 in the draft. First pick in the draft at number 8, I want my edge player. I take Myles Murphy at number 8. Round number 2, pick number 44, Cam Smith, the cornerback out of South Carolina. So look, I know a lot of people think, and my gut tells me that the Falcons will take corner at number 8, but I think the cornerback position is a deep position. Cam is a ball hawk kind of guy. He plays the ball really well. He's got the size. And he definitely has good football instincts, one of those high football IQ kinds of guys when he's out there covering guys. So Cam Smith is my choice at pick number 44 in the second round, cornerback out of South Carolina. Pick number 75, round number 3, I take Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. had a better year in 2021 than he did in 2022 because of injuries, and Jalen Hyatt went off, excuse me, last year as the Biletnikoff winner. But when you talk about a guy who's got the size, speed, strength, and the catch radius, you want to throw a ball up to Cedric Tillman, he can go get it. He's got great ball skills. And when we're talking about wide receiver, we look at these guys that are third, fourth, fifth rounders, the Tyreek Hills, the Stephon Diggs, the Cooper Kupps. There's a lot of value at wide receiver without having to spend first or second round capital. Now, look, Julio's a different animal, but there aren't Julios in the draft every year. So I like Tillman. I like what he brings. And if he's healthy and ready to get back at it, he can be a very, very good weapon, a guy that has a big catch radius that you can throw the ball up to. Round number 4, pick number 110. Braden Daniels, the tackle/guard from Utah. I like his physicality. I like his athleticism. He can play a little bit of inside, outside. He certainly profiles more as a guard in the NFL. So again, we're looking at solidifying somewhere in the interior of our offensive line. We're looking to upgrade at the position because, again, I've said on the podcast, I don't think that there are a lot of great options at left guard that are in-house. Jalen Mayfield, Matt Hennessy, Hittin. There's just not a lot of great options. I'm not saying Braden Daniels solves your issues, and I'm not saying that he's a starter from day one, but if I can get him to develop, maybe he becomes a rotational piece, maybe he becomes a starter, and maybe, again, at some point, if you decide if Daniels is a guy that can handle the outside responsibilities, maybe if you decide to move on from a Caleb McGarry or something like that. Again, it's a lot of projecting, but when you're talking about fourth-round picks, that's what this is. Round number 4, pick number 113. So 3 spots after the Falcons pick at number 110 with Braden Daniels, I take KJ Henry, edge player out of Clemson. You want Myles Murphy's running mate? Here's KJ Henry. Again, let's all say it together, okay? Let's all say it together. You can't have too many guys that sack the quarterback. One more time with emphasis. You can't have too many guys that sack the quarterback. A lot of athleticism out there. Probably not an elite type of pass rusher. But again, D'Angelo Malone and some of these guys, if you can get them to develop and be rotational guys that can give you a handful of sacks. They may not be a guy like KJ Henry, may not be 6, 8, 10 sacks. But if he's 3, 4 sacks, again, I'm trying to get to 40. All right, that's my baseline is here's 40 sacks. I'm a playoff defense if I get to 40 sacks. So that's my thought with KJ Henry. Then we go to round number 7, pick number 224. I take, ready? Stetson Bennett, the quarterback out of the University of Georgia. Look, this is not a high capital pick. There is no risk in a pick like this with a 7th round pick. And Stetson's either going to fall 5th, 6th, 7th, or not get drafted at all. I mean, it's 50-50 on he's drafted, he's not drafted. Some websites think that he's going to be drafted. Some think that he's not. If I can get a Stetson Bennett, and look, does he have all the flaws and the warts and the issues? Sure. He's a 7th round quarterback, though. But here's what I love about Stetson Bennett, okay? The kid's a winner. I love this about Desmond Ridder. I love this about Stetson Bennett. They're winners. When they had an opportunity to make plays and guide their team and be the leader of their team, what they did is went out and won. Won. That's what they did, and guess what that is? That's the most important trait that you can't teach a quarterback. You can teach even some accuracy. You can build up a guy's arm strength. You can get him, a higher football game, but you can't teach the innate ability in how to win. And if you are a guy that figures out a way to win, you're in good shape. Final pick, round number 7, pick number 225. So 1 pick after Stetson Bennett, Isaiah Moore, the inside linebacker out of NC State. 3-year team captain, So, again, in the Thomas Dimitrov era, we love those team captains. 3-year team captain. He's not a guy that is fast running sideline to sideline, but he makes every play. He has a high football IQ. I think he's kind of a sleeper pick. If you can get him late in the 7th round and he can develop into something, again, I'm not saying he's going to be a 4, 5, 6 sack guy, but he can be a tackling machine for this team. So here's a recap. Myles Murphy, pick number 8 in round number 1, edge out of Clemson. Round 2, pick 44, Cam Smith out of South Carolina, the cornerback. Round number 3, pick 75, Cedric Tillman, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Round number 4, pick 110, Braden Daniels, tackle/guard out of Utah. Round number 4, pick 113, KJ Henry, edge player out of Clemson. Round number 7, pick 224, Stetson Bennett from University of Georgia. Round number 7, pick number 225, Isaiah Moore, the inside linebacker out of NC State. Voila, here we go, Super Bowl, right? We're ready to win the Super Bowl if we follow my draft. Anyway, all right, let's talk about our friends over at FanDuel. Listen, FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and if you're a new player to FanDuel, it's a great time to sign up, where if you sign up at FanDuel.com today, new customers can claim their no-sweat first bet, where you can get as much as $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So FanDuel.com/lockedon is the place to go. FanDuel.com/lockedon is the place to be, where you can get your $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Now, look, in Major League Baseball, you can bet on everything from prop bets, who's going to win, how many homers is Aaron Judge going to hit, what have you, and everything in between. So don't miss out on the action. Claim your no-sweat first bet for a chance at $1,000 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Sign up today. FanDuel is the official partner of Major League Baseball. So here's the question that I have very easily, okay? Who's better than Marcell Ozuna and Eddie Rosario in left field? Oh, I have the answer, okay? You know what the answer is? Everybody. Everybody's better in left field, okay? Now, look, we know that Marcell Ozuna has struggled mightily, and we know that he's basically become a one-trick pony. He's got 4 hits on the season. Half of those are home runs, and 1 is a double. So he's 4 for 55 this season. 4 runs scored, a double, 2 homers, 2 runs driven in, 8 walks, 18 strikeouts, hitting .073 with a 190 on base, 200 slugging. Now, Eddie Rosario ain't a whole lot better. I know Eddie Rosario homered last night, right? Okay. But Eddie Rosario has struggled a lot as well this early in the season. He is 12 for 62. He's hitting a .194 with a 219 on base percentage, 339 slugging. So you have an OPS of Eddie Rosario at 587 and an OPS of Marcell Ozuna at 390. That is who's better in left than either of those guys? Everybody. Now, the guy I really like that has been a really nice addition is Sam Hilliard. And right now, your best outfield would be Ronnie in right, Michael Harris in center, and believe it or not, Sam Hilliard in left. Sam Hilliard's got 4 doubles, 3 homers, 5 driven in. He's hit .333, .412 on base percentage. He's got 6 walks in only 51 plate appearances, and he scored 10 runs. And right now, the combination for him of offense and defense is better than Rosario, Ozuna, what have you. Now, we saw last week Madison Bumgarner got cut or DFA'd from the Arizona Diamondbacks, owing him more than $35 million. How long does this become before we see Ozuna be DFA'd? Because, again, they've got $37 million tied up into him. So I can't say it's too soon. Brother, we're about to be in May. Next week is May, okay? How much longer does this experiment have to go? Even Eddie Rosario, can we get past the point of, okay, his eye was bad, his sight was bad, or things like that? Okay, so he said He himself said, oh, yeah, I'm 100% better and I can see and blah, 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 blah. Okay. He's at $1.94. Again, that experiment isn't working. I mean, look, the Braves caught lightning in a bottle. We got to acknowledge Soler, Rosario, guys like that, even Ozuna to a degree. They caught lightning in a bottle. Sometimes lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice, right? So at some point, you have to play your best guys, not because of payroll, not because of loyalty. You have to play your best guys. And right now, believe it or not, Sam Hilliard is your best guy in left field. He's the best guy that they've got right now. Now, look, until Michael Harris gets back, he's having to play some center field, right? But once you get Michael Harris back, unless you trade for, Aaron Judge or something, it should be Ronnie in right, Harris in center, and Sam Hilliard in left. Now, I don't know if anybody had that on their bingo card coming into this year. Nobody probably looked at Sam Hilliard as a guy who's going to produce. But even if you only catch lightning in a bottle with Sam Hilliard, okay, just like you did with Rosario, just like you did with Soler, just like you did with Ozuna, if you just catch that brief lightning in a bottle, that's still better than anything that Ozuna or Rosario are giving this team. They're not giving them anything. And I don't care if you split them. I don't care if you hit Rosario against righties. I don't care if you hit Ozuna against lefties. They're not getting anything done. The production isn't there. At some point, it just has to be, again, Susan Powder was the person who said, stop the madness? Okay, stop the madness. Play Sam Hilliard. You don't have really better options. But when Michael Harris does come back and he gets in the starting lineup, we know 2 of those 3 outfield spots. We know 2 of the guys who should be out there every day. And until the Braves upgrade, make a trade, call up a hot prospect, whatever it is, there's not much reason to play Eddie Rosario and Marcell Ozuna and have those guys at left or any sort of a semblance of that, right? I mean, a lot of people have talked about the fact that Ozuna has played a lot more left field than any of us thought. Maybe that's a way to make him look like, okay, he can be on the open market. Somebody could trade for him. He can still play some left field. That's not happening too good. That's not happening too much. So again, play Sam Hilliard. I'll be honest with you, I've seen enough out of Marcell Ozuna that he should be DFA'd, and I've seen enough out of Eddie Rosario that if you just want to make him a pinch hitter coming off the bench where he's got a little bit of pop, okay, pinch hit against a right-handed pitcher, okay, fine. Or a spot start here or there, right? Again, Sam Hilliard needs a day off. Cool. Eddie Rosario, we'll trot him out for a game or 2 out in left field. But otherwise, neither one of these guys inspires me. And this was one of the weaknesses for the Braves coming into this season. So left field was going to be probably a problem if you didn't get Ozuna, Rosario to pick up the steam and pick up where they were a few years ago. And now it's kind of coming home to roost that left field is becoming a problem again for the Braves. But at least capture lightning in a bottle with Sam Hilliard. I don't know what he progresses or projects to long term, but play him every day in the short term and get every drop of that juice out of that lemon. All right, well, thank you so much for making Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen. And make sure that when you listen into the podcast that you leave us a comment in the comment section of YouTube or what have you and tell us that you're an everyday listener. So make sure you recognize, we make sure that we know who our everyday listeners are. So it's called our everydayers. So be a part of our community, always subscribe, and also listen in every day to us. So is it too early to call Spencer Strider an ace or what have you? Look, here's the numbers right now for Strider. 3-0, 1.8 ERA. He's got 5 starts, 30 innings, leads baseball in strikeouts with 49. He's also leading the majors in strikeouts per 9 innings with 14.7. Pitched a gem last night where he took no hitter into the 8th inning, only to be spoiled by Gene Segura but still finished with 8 innings, 2 hits, no runs. I think it was 13 strikeouts when all was said and done. Oh, and no walks. Right now for the season, he's got a 4.45 strikeout to walk ratio. His 49 strikeouts, like I said, lead Major League Baseball with only 11 walks. He's only given up 14 hits in 31 innings, and he's also only given up 6 earned runs on the season. Now, obviously, with last year, with the 202 strikeouts in his rookie season, turned a lot of heads, finished second in Rookie of the Year voting, could very easily have won it. It was a coin flip at that point where between Michael Harris and Spencer Strider for the Rookie of the Year. Is it too early to call him an ace? Because right now he is far and away the Braves' best pitcher. Listen, not taking it away from Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder has been outstanding for this club. Bryce Elder is the best surprise of the season for the Atlanta Braves. He's been their biggest surprise. Maybe more than Sam Hilliard. He's been their biggest surprise because he's really solidified the back of that rotation. But Strider's their ace right now. And there's no reason that he is going to slow down, change up, do anything. Strider, for his career, in the 3 seasons that he's played, only played in 2 games in his rookie year, very first year, I should say 2021. Then he had his full rookie year where he made 20 starts, and then he's made 5 starts this year. He has averaged for his career 13.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Now, let's go way back in time, okay? Way back in time, right? To a couple of few months ago, right? And I brought up the idea that I think it was very possible that Spencer Strider was going to break John Smoltz's modern-day record of the 276 strikeouts that he had in 1996. Not talking about the franchise records from a standpoint of all these 19th century players. Smoltzy's got the record in modern-day baseball. And how about like this? 20th century and beyond. He's got the record with the 276 in 1996. I think Strider can beat that number. I think if Strider gets himself 30, 33 starts, he'll be pushing toward 300 strikeouts. But he's not just a guy that strikes out a lot of people. You know, J.R. Richards struck out a lot of people. Problem is he'd have 123 walks. And even pitching in the Astrodome, which was literally one of the best pitchers' parks in the entire history of baseball. That was one of the hardest places to hit. But he still gave up hits and runs. His ERA, was still in the 3s, 3.5s, and things like that. And he'd strike out 330 guys. But he would walk a crap ton, put too many guys on base, give up too many runs. That's not where Strider is at right now. He's not just, from a pitching standpoint, he's not just a one-trick pony when it comes to how he pitches. He is a guy that goes in there, rears back and fires, and not only can you not hit it, but he doesn't allow base runners. He doesn't get himself too wild. Only 11 walks in 30-some innings, 4.5 strikeouts to 4.5 strikeouts, strikeout to walk ratio. All of these little ancillary things are also things that are going on with Strider, which makes him so difficult. Even only the 1 home run. Last year, he only had 7 homers. That's a really low total. You figure the fact that he's only given up 9 homers in 164 innings pitched tells you how little contact guys really make against him. Tells you how many guys really get good contact on Spencer Strider. So it's not that he's just a one-trick pony. He's out there rearing back, firing, doing his thing, right? Getting lots of strikeouts and things like that. But he's developing himself into a really good pitcher. He's developing himself into a guy that is becoming a complete pitcher. And in just a short amount of time. Remember, Strider was drafted in 2020. 3 years ago, he's at Clemson University pitching, right? That's how crazy this whole thing is. And he's come up through the system, and all he's done is dominate. And now he's up at the Major League Club, and all he's doing is dominating again. So we certainly love all the strikeouts and all the things that Spencer Strider brings to it. But that's not just being an ace when we talk about a guy who strikes out lots of guys. Okay? Striking guys out, that's a skill that a lot of pitchers have. But now he's becoming a complete pitcher. He's not giving up the walks. He's not giving up the hits. He's certainly not giving up the home runs. He's not putting himself in a bad position where he gets too many guys on base and doesn't know what to do with them. You know, that a lot of these guys that strike out lots of people, the Nolan Ryans, the J.R. Richards, they walked a lot of guys. They allowed a lot of base runners. They allowed lots of hits. But Strider is not like that. He's a guy that is direct, quick, to the point, get a guy out, don't put guys on, don't let guys linger, none of that stuff. So is it too early to call Spencer Strider an ace? You know what? I'll tell you what, almost anybody in Major League Baseball would love to have him at the top of the rotation. Maybe he's not an ace just because of his experience, but certainly he is the Braves' best pitcher right now. And I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. I think Max Fried's the best left-hander in baseball. No doubt about it. But Strider is a cut above, and he's a guy that looks like he is going to be one of the more dominant pitchers in Major League Baseball. A guy that really is able to command everything and be a complete pitcher at the end of the day. All right, well, thank you so much for making Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen. Make sure that when you listen in, you head to one of our comment sections on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave us a comment that you are an everyday listener. We really appreciate our everydayers, as we like to call them. So thank you so much for listening in every single day. Don't miss an episode of Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery. And you can subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you get all of your favorite podcasts from. You can get the latest episodes of Hittin' Hard as soon as they become available. And then leave me give me a follow, I should say, on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. Back with you tomorrow. This has been Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked on Sports Atlanta.